Sentient Sessions, court back in session. I have a message for you. Are you ready for it? How are you feeling? I'm feeling good. I have a very specific scenario that's like playing in my head. Oh my God, that I want to talk about. But before I do, I want to introduce myself a little bit. Like, I know I have in like, if you read my description, you kind of get like a gauge of who I am and what I'm about. But I've looked at my demographics. A lot of women between, no, not even, let me not say that. I have equal amount men and women. Interesting. There's a lot of people 20 to 25 and then up to 40. Like my range is from 20 to 44, I want to say. I don't remember the exact details, but yeah, I'm here. I really do like to talk about subconscious patterns. And I would say a lot of the subconscious patterns that I like to talk about do involve, you know, dismantling colonial, patriarchal standards. So I do talk a lot about decentering men, especially. I talk about healing your relationship to femininity if you are a man or someone who is more masculine. You know, I do invite a lot of different people. I invite people who are also non-binary, or a lot of people who are a part of the LGBT. I would say that's a lot of my demographic. Just healing the relationship to yourself so that you can show up to the world more authentically. But a lot of that does involve decolonizing. It does involve working through white supremacist ideals. It does involve working through patriarchal ideals, internalized homophobia, internalized colorism, you know, all of these things. I do like to talk about that because it's like purging out certain things that keep you from authentically loving you. So I do talk a lot about subconscious patterns. And I guess I'm saying that to say because there's a very specific circumstance that's like coming to my mind that I'm about to get into. And I would say that this is more for women, but, you know, apply it to you how it fits. Because I definitely understand that men be dealing with some really like fucked up ass situations too. Like, I really, like, there's manipulative people in both categories, and I've dealt with all of them. You know, I've dealt with my fair share of like really narcissistic behavior, really toxic behavior, and I also had to work through my own patterns that I've developed, you know, my own manipulative patterns, my own toxic behaviors. I was once a people pleaser. So I always come from this place of non-judgment. Let me say, like, I feel like I can even talk to people who involve them. And this is why I'm saying this, because I'm about to talk about the situation. And I could talk to people who also have these patterns as well. And I feel like I'm also guided to say this because on a comment from a video yesterday, I was talking about a guy. So I'm going to talk about a situation where I feel like you could end up in a very dangerous position. That is what this video is about. And then I'm going to get into the cards and see what happens. But so we're going to start with like a woman, right? She has not, if you don't decolonize, I mean, not decolonize, if you don't decenter men, and you have a lot of internalized misogyny, sometimes that makes you more likely to be at odds with other women, right? So like, you're more likely to be envious of other women. You're more likely to feel afraid of other women. So in the situation that I'm getting, like, let's say you're afraid of other women or you're envious of other women, and it makes it more difficult for you to be friends to other women. So when you do talk to men, your leading point is how much you hate another woman, or how like you like when you interact with let's say this woman, should I give her a name? Like, let's see. Her name is Katie. Let's say Katie is envious. Katie has a lot of like internalized misogyny. Katie wants to be validated by men. Okay, so let's say Katie wants to be validated by men. Katie hates other women. Katie makes it very clear anytime that she's interacting with a man that she don't like to be around other women. She makes it clear that she feels like women are insert all these misogynistic ideas of what women are like. And if she has a woman that's like her center of envy, then she's more likely when she interacts with men to talk about this woman. She's more likely to feel like in order to be validated in her negative feelings around this woman, she's more likely to speak poorly about this woman to these men. So let's say Katie ends up in a situation where there's a man from yesterday that I was talking about. But let's say Katie ends up in a situation where she meets, why is it so hard for me to come up with names? She meets Ezra. Okay, so she meets Ezra. And Ezra is also a misogynist. So Ezra sees Katie. Katie's talking about how much she like hates other women, hates a specific woman. Katie is going to give all the details of what is making her insecure in relation to another woman. So Ezra now knows what compliments to give Katie because he understands what makes Katie insecure. So he's gonna butter Katie up. He's gonna be like, Katie, you're the most beautiful person I've ever seen. And your partner should, your partner should make you feel like that. But he's gonna be like, Katie, you're the most beautiful person I've ever seen. Katie, your shape is so gorgeous. Katie, you're such a kind person. You're such a nice person. I don't know, Katie, you're just, I don't know, you deserve this. Like whatever it is that Katie's been complaining about is whatever Ezra is gonna validate. Ezra. So when I talked about the guy from yesterday, hold on. This is coming out because it's coming together. So Ezra now knows Katie finds it difficult to be in community with other women. So if Ezra had the intentions of isolating Katie, it's easier for Ezra to do so. There's no issue with isolating Katie because Katie already isolates herself. So let's give more details about Ezra. So let's say Ezra is this person who feels like he already failed at life. Like he feels like maybe he was in school and he dropped out. Maybe he feels stuck at like this dead end job. Like Ezra just doesn't feel satisfied with his life. His relationship with Katie validates him, right? Because Katie's also not satisfied. But he also has these ideals of what a woman should be like. So if there's anything that Katie lacks, he's going to shape that into Katie because he feels like Katie is shapeable, moldable. So Katie's already like isolated with Ezra. Sometimes what happens, and this is where I'm getting at, sometimes in these situations, what happens is Ezra's going to do something like convince Katie to stop taking her birth control. Like very specific, like Ezra might convince Katie to stop taking her birth control. Like if Katie comes from like a dynamic where I come from, where it's like you don't really have contact with your family, you don't really have a good family, you're not, well, whatever, that's subjective. But like let's say you don't have interactions with your family either. Like Katie is isolated, like Katie just don't trust nobody. He feels important because he's the one person that she trusts. Ezra is going to tell Katie, hey, get off your birth control. Do not take your birth control. You know, if we start a family, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to do this and this for you. Like Ezra gives her all these details of what he's going to do if she gets pregnant. So Katie is going to get off her birth control because it feels like Ezra's more likely to be responsible if she does have a baby and they can form that family that she dreams of. Pick me or a misogynistic woman is a misogynistic man's dream because it's easy to control her. Like, I know a lot of people like to go for the free birds, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, even if, like, no one's to say like Katie isn't a free bird, but like Katie has the mindset that allows for him to come in easily and to gain that like sense of control that he desires. So he's gonna say, Katie, get off your birth control. Like, I'm going to, like, it's okay. Like, we can have a baby. The baby's gonna be great. You know, we're just gonna become a family. I want to be there for you. I want to take care of you. I want to like make sure. I want this. We want this. You want this. You want this, Katie. You want this. So Katie's gonna get off her birth control. Katie's gonna get pregnant. The thing is, when Katie gets pregnant, Ezra's gonna switch up because he has her now. Ezra's gonna switch up, and not only that, Ezra is going to use her as his scapegoat. Ezra feels unsatisfied with his life. So Ezra is going to make sure that Katie knows that her having his baby was the worst decision that they ever made. One, not only that, he's going to say, yeah, this is the worst decision that we ever made, and you're the reason why I'm stuck in life. He was already stuck in life, but he needed a scapegoat. And that's what I see in a lot of dynamics. Like, I see, like, especially when you think of like older women, because again, my audience is between 20 to like 40 something. What I see with a lot of like older women is that is the exact situation that they ended up in. Like, because they haven't unlearned their thoughts around community and community with women, the ways that they feel around women, they end up isolated with men. And these men don't have no good intention for that. Like, he has this sense of grandeur. Like, I am supposed to be a family man. That is what I'm supposed to be doing. But he feels miserable, like he needed another way of scapegoating his misery. You get what I'm saying? So he purposefully starts a family so that he has people to blame for why he's so stuck in life. Like, he thinks it's going to bring him happiness to have things to take care of, but his misery never goes away. Their misery never goes away. And that's how you also end up with situations where it's a continuous pattern of mothers who hate their daughters, like mothers who hate their daughters, who hate like their daughter's freedom, who hates, like, she was stuck with the man who hated her. She couldn't find community because she hated other women. She has a daughter now, and now she hates her daughter. Her daughter represents everything that she is or is not. You get what I'm saying? So it's so important to like heal, to work on those patterns, especially even if we're talking from the perspective of Ezra. Ezra has all these societal pressures put on him that he thinks that he has all these pressures of what a man should and should not be. And he feels like he's not meeting up to that societal standard. So now that he's put in this position where he starts his family, he hates it because that's not what he wanted. That's not what was actually going to bring him satisfaction. Neither of them wanted that, but they felt like they were supposed to do that because that's what they're used to. That's what their family did. That's the pressures that was put on them. But you get what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't actual freedom. Like, you think that you're like, it wasn't actual freedom. And now it's more dangerous for Katie to be stuck in that situation. Like, Ezra still has the patriarchy to lean on. People are going to support his decision to be a half-ass father. People are going to support Ezra's decision to be a half-ass husband. But Katie has now the load of taking care of children and taking care of a household. And honestly, taking care of a man who at times is probably not going to be present. And if she doesn't allow herself to unlearn the things that kind of put her in that position, she's just going to replay her traumas onto her children, where now she has children who are either her. A lot of times you see like the sons end up very dependent on their mothers, and the daughters end up resenting their mothers, but that resentment turns into them becoming their mother. They end up walking away from the household, being isolated, hating women, and then doing the same shit again. If you are someone who is going no contact, you really have to work on the relationship to yourself, your relationship to womanhood, your relationship to relationships, and your relationship to validation, your insecurities, because it's like you have to think of it like you have these wound openings and different bacteria and infections can come into that wound. It's an open wound. Like you have to work on those open wounds. And I'm just gonna pull cards, but I feel like any situation can be turned around. I was thinking about this. Like I was walking. I'm talking about this because I was thinking about it because I was thinking about like one of my favorite YouTubers has a baby, and she was talking about her community around her having a baby. Like most of her community, when she was talking about her community, was other women, her mother, her aunts, her cousins. I think about like if I ever had a child, I don't want to have a child without having a community of women. Like I need a community of women before I bring a child into this earth. Like I don't care so much about my partner. I want other women around me. Like, and I feel like it's still like, even if you end up in that situation, you can still heal your relationship to other women and find more community. Find people who will support you genuinely, because a lot of the illusion that we're taught is that the only way you can be supported is to find a partner, is to find a man who's going to take care of you. But that also allows in the energy of people who don't have good intentions for you or your children. That's the scariest part. There are men who have terrible intentions for children. And again, if you got to flip the road, you can flip the road. There are sick women out here. But you know, those are things to really consider. Like, you have to really consider it. You have to really consider it. Like, I guess this is a continuation of what I was like talking about yesterday, but I would not want to start. The scariest thing for me is to be isolated with a man. Like, that's the scariest thing for me. Like, it's a fear that I'm not, you know how when people say like you live your biggest fear, that's a fear that I continuously prevent every day. Like I know how dangerous that shit can be. And you know, I would love a family, but I just don't want a family that requires me to drop my community. I'm not looking to create a whole new community with I don't believe in the structure that we've been taught of family. You know, the way we're taught a nuclear family is for a man, a woman, children. People really live by that standard and they continue that out, but it never works for anybody. When I think of a family, I think of children, mothers, men. You know, I don't think of like, oh my God. I don't think of like me getting married and then having kids. Like I really think of me having a community of women and then having kids. You know, I think of mothers, children, and then the men. And then the relationships you have is whatever it is. You get what I'm saying? Like I'm starting to lean into like what is it called? I want to read more books about it though. Like I don't really take on labels until I read more books, but as if I could use labels as of right now, I would say that I'm a Pan-African womanist or feminist. I don't know. I like womanist better. I'm a Pan-African womanist who also leans into relationship anarchy. But I also do believe in monogamy. But like when I think of relationship anarchy, like I just think of, and again, these are terms and concepts that I'm exploring in my own personal life. But when I think of relationship anarchy, I really do think of just being an individual being who loves on individual beings. Like you have a life outside of me and I have a life outside of you. and I can love you and let you be you. I don't really want to base my life around somebody. Like, if I have a child, that's the only person or only people who my life must be based around. Like, I can understand selflessness only in the concept of like a mother and a child. Like, when I think of a partner, especially by these standards, I do think I need that security, but I also don't expect to only find that security in a partner, especially as a mother. Like, I feel like if I'm looking for security with children, then I need to find a community. I need a community. To not have a community is I think unhealthy. I think it's unhealthy, and I think that like the dependency that we have on partnership is based in something, you know, super unhealthy. The nuclear family was meant to serve a purpose, and it isn't meant to be substantial to most people. Most people are not living in suburbs. Most people are not making an income that would be able to support a nuclear family. You know, like it made sense during times of war, and I guess that's why we also approach war again. But it's not real. Like, I feel like community is essential. And even in those spaces, you know, people still had their mothers come over. Their neighbors talked. You know, you talk to your neighbors. You plan play dates. Most people aren't doing that no more. Like, at most, you're putting your kids in daycare. And then you, as an individual, still have like all this burden on you and your shoulders. You know, I feel like with community effort, we're able to divvy out the work and the responsibility, and it's easier. Like, imagine like being in a community and then y'all cook big meals, everyone eats. Like, being in a community, um, the kids are being watched, you know, everyone has these skills that they bring and the kids all learn. I think of things like that. Like, I do think that is freedom, and I think that I love families. I do. I want a family. I just don't want it the traditional way. I can even see myself being like a auntie or playing a supportive role in raising children, but like not having children of my own. It is what it is, you know what I'm saying? But I also have to learn to I have to also learn my own like fear of commitment, because that requires commitment. That's why I haven't become a parent. I can't commit. Like, that's something I would be forced to commit to. That's too much. And you know, I'm just like, let me think before I do that, or let me think about it. Let me like, I need to set things up. Like, I can't. But a fake account lurking wants to play your heart. Like, I'm telling you, there's people who will purposefully get you pregnant. They will purposely make you their baby mama because they don't want you to leave, but they also don't want you to like, they don't want you to leave, but they also want to make you the response. Like, they want you to bear the brunt of their hatred, of their self-hatred. Oh my God, this keep popping up. But yeah, they want you to bear the brunt of their self-hatred. There's people who will purposely get you pregnant. There's people who will purposely make you they child's mother because they see something in you that they want to dim. It's not because they genuinely want you around. Like, maybe sometimes, but the thing that they usually with people who are miserable or people who are envious, or because people don't see that. Like, if you person who is, I don't think I'm pulling these cards, I don't know, but if you person who has a tendency to be envious of other women, you wouldn't understand that you're attracting somebody who also holds the same energy, someone who is also envious of women. Like, men can be envious of women, but you put men on such a platform that you don't see it, that you're not seeing that that this person hates you, or this person don't really value you, or really value as a person. Like, you are means to an end, or you represent something to them. So if you were free, or you're able to do something that they felt like they wasn't able to accomplish, like they're unsatisfied about college, you went to college, now you're like, oh, I think this is something that he thinks this is something that I think he holds to a high standard. I think that he thinks this is valuable. You don't realize, no, he hates you for it. And sometimes he admires you and sometimes he hates it. Sometimes he admires it and sometimes he really hates it. Like, that's the energy. That's the energy of envy. That's what it works like. Same thing, like sometimes you have things that you really love, but then that thing you really love and admire becomes that thing you really hate. Same energy. You just attracting to somebody else. So that person, if they have something that they want to dim in you, speak your truth. If that person has something that they want to dim in you, they're going to dim it. Like, they're going to find ways to punish you for being what they are not. Especially like, let me say something about misogynists. They kind of have this idea that women have it easy. Like, I don't think anybody has it easy. I think that the standards of our society makes it very hard for either of us to live authentic lives, regardless of your gender, to be very real. Like, and I believe people are moving in between worlds, but it makes it hard for any of us to live fulfilling lives because we have these pressures on us and requirements of us that aren't real, right? But because, like, if someone's a misogynist, they think women have it easier. Oh, if you have a hard time in life, you can just be pretty and everything works your way. And it's like, no, everyone deals with different struggles, but that's one thing that people won't acknowledge. Like, it's not safe to be around somebody with misogynistic values. It's unsafe as fuck. It's unsafe. When someone starts talking about women are supposed to be like this, you've encountered a misogynist. You've encountered, like, traditional values. Communicate your feelings. Traditional values is rooted in a system that doesn't serve us and wasn't meant for a lot of us. And your feelings. So it's like, either work on that and find freedom, or I feel like, again, people find each other. So it's not me saying this from a going broke. It's not me saying this Sagittarius. It's not me really saying this from this lens of, like, I have empathy even when I feel like people be attracted to certain things into their life. Like, I be having empathy for it. You get what I'm saying? Because I understand this is coming from your upbringing. This is coming from the perception of life you were taught. If you were taught you have no value outside of your role as a man or a woman, you know what I'm saying? I feel bad because you haven't found freedom. You haven't found who you truly are. You weren't able to. So I can feel empathy, but also understand people be creating certain situations for themselves out of their very toxic, negative feelings. Once your energy. Oh my God. I'm starting to feel, what is this feeling I'm feeling? Don't tolerate mixed signals on their mind. Bitch. Ooh, love. Someone you know. You're worrying too much, overthinking. Spiritual abundance, not a reciprocal situation. Okay. So it's the energy of the signs that's on the table. So I'm going to start with that. There's Gemini and there's Sagittarius, sister sign. I guess I'm not using tarot cards because they all just flew. One of them is sticking to the wall. I'm going to just put the one that's sticking to the wall. It's the Eight of Pentacles. Bitch, I don't know. What the fuck? I don't know if I should pull these cards because I'm going to take the two that's underneath my table, the chair, because I'll pick up the rest later. Ace of Pentacles. And then we have the Knight of Cups reversed. Yeah. Okay. Spirit showing out for real. But Gemini, energy of sign, a fake account lurking, wants to play your heart, don't tolerate mixed signals, speak your truth on their mind, communicate your feelings. And then we got the Eight of Pentacles. It's like building something. Speak your truth, communicate your feelings on their mind, don't tolerate mixed signals. Gemini, want to play your heart, the fake account lurking, energy of sign. Like, so let me again, like, you gotta, like, I think something I want to say, because it says fake account lurking on social media. I was talking about how like I feel like I found safety, or I have found protection in speaking so openly online. It's helped me honestly go within myself a lot too. Yeah, I just got a notification from TikTok. But yeah, it helps me go within myself as well. You get what I'm saying? Like, I've learned to understand certain aspects of me, and I get to explore. I'm a verbal processor. It's good for, like, me talking helps me process my thoughts and my feelings and my emotions. And I do that with journaling as well. I need words to process. And I've become more aware of patterns from the things that I share, and especially from the things I've shared long term. And I want to use the things that I share to help other people. And I was talking about how like some people will dead ass avoid me because I be speaking and I make sense. Like, it's not that I don't make no sense. Like, I be talking and I be talking about, I know how to peep things and put it into words. I definitely do. I know how to peep certain patterns. I trust patterns above everything else. Actions over words. Always. Actions over words. Don't tolerate mixed signals. Actions over words. You have to pay attention to people's actions. You have to pay attention to the things that slip out. You have to pay attention. You have to pay attention to the little details. That's what I would think with Gemini energy. Like, we like Gemini energy, Gemini placements, we're really good at peeping little details. You have to peep the little details and then put it together for the bigger picture. Gemini and Sagittarius, Sagittarius is really good with the bigger picture. Peep those little details and put it together, piece it together for the big picture. Like, imagine a board and you're putting, like, you making connections. You gotta think like that, Speak your truth on their mind, communicate your feelings. And then we got in they, your feelings, someone you know, so someone's in their feelings. Self-belief needed, you're worrying too much, overthinking, going broke. And then we got the Ace of Pentacles. You might be worrying about going broke or something. I think something I also know, like, the scariest thing is to be isolated and also have no money. In a situation I was in, we will talk, like, I'm talking my shit. A lot of situations I've been in have gone to absolute hell once I was talked out of my resources. And I can't blame nobody but myself. I've learned to make sure that I have resources. Because sometimes, like, when you end up in situations where you no longer have like money, don't let nobody tell you they about to make money for the both of y'all or for the all of y'all, like, you're good. Nah, that shit be coming with strings. I don't know. I be like, if like, people be genuinely wanting to take care of people, but if someone wants to take care of you and you feel enticed by the idea. But if somebody wants to take care of you, but they're also trying to make sure you don't have means to take care of yourself, that person is going to trap you. Like, if you, like, someone's like, hey, like, yeah, quit your job, like, you should quit your job, you shouldn't have, like, don't worry about it, quit your job. They are about to do some fucked up ass shit. Like, they're trying to keep you stuck. Like, let me tell you, I'm not even 25 yet, but I've lived a life, yo. I got stories upon stories upon stories upon stories upon stories. Yeah. People use money as a form of control, and you may be worried about that, but like, it's okay. Like, if you've been there before and you know how to maneuver, it's all good. It is all good. Just make sure that you keep holding on to your resources. Do not fall for no okie doke. Hold on to your resources, okay? In their feelings. Ace of Pentacles. Sagittarius, spiritual abundance, teachable moment. I mean, Sagittarius is essentially the teacher. Not a reciprocal situation wants your energy. And then we got the Knight of Cups reversed. Essentially that, like, yeah. Wants your energy, not a reciprocal situation going to broke. Like, this is an energy vampire. Is this like someone who don't got like a sense of identity or hates their identity? If someone is unhappy in where they are in life, they're more likely to want to prove themselves. But by proving themselves, it's all rooted in the sense of control. And I want to say patriarchal control, because a lot of people do come from that, you know, standpoint. I've even had people who were not men but masculine, you know, like non-binary folk. If someone, like, sometimes people have these ideas of like masculinity. There's lesbians who will have this idea of masculinity, and it means that like you need to lean on me for all your support. But like they become intimidated if you also embody the energy of being able to take care of yourself. So if you can take care of yourself, they're more likely to talk you out of taking care of yourself, so that they can have some form of like control over you, so that you ask them for things, so that they can feel validated by you needing them for things. And they're never going to satisfy any of those whims. They're not going to satisfy any of those whims because they barely holding on themselves. We live in a society, everyone is barely holding on. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, it's an energy like you come, oh my God, like I need this, I need that. They'll be like, oh, I can make something happen. I can make something happen, because you depend on them. But they're not gonna do it. They're not able to. Like, they'll take on like a huge load just to prove that they're able to take it on, and then struggle with it and be upset with you. Back to like the reference of like someone starting a family with you. They will start a family with you promising that they're going to be able to take care of this family, but then they get they underestimate how much is required of raising a family. And the pressure starts to weigh on them, and then they fall into habits that being like they're not going to be present, you know. Yeah, so spiritual abundance, Sagittarius, a teachable moment. Yeah, I don't trust none of those. Like, I don't be trusting none of it. Like, I'm your equal. If you don't see me like your equal, if you do not, like, I've had such a life that makes me more willing to make sure I have my own shit together. And every experience I have really solidifies that I need my own shit together. Like, I don't want to be in a position to have to rely on people. But I also do value a video suggestion. Your power is captivating. Rachel Fulton, love her. But yeah, you know, like, yeah, I'm essentially like, I need to have my own, because but I also want community. That's what I was saying. I kind of lost my train of thought. But yeah, I also want community, because community doesn't mean that think of mutual aid. Like, I'm gonna need you at some point, you're gonna need me. Like, we do this because it's necessary for our survival. But I also want to actively work towards having something to give, or having my own, filling my own cup. Like, because anytime I've tried to depend on people to fill my cup, I have been left out in the cold. You know what I'm saying? Left out in the cold. Left out in the cold. Because people utilize that to validate themselves and their egos. So that's Sam Sentient Sessions. I hope I touched on this situation with empathy, but I'm kind of, the way I talk, I'm really straight to the point. Like, I'm very straight to the point. I'm giving it to you objectively. Take it what you will. But that's Sam Sentient Sessions. Please come back. Session adjourned.